This video goes over Auto Twerk, a new feature in MIDI Designer 10.7. Auto Twerk allows your controls to keep moving. The control keeps spinning on its own and keeps bouncing. The first thing we're going to do is get prepared to use Ableton Link. Auto Twerk requires Ableton Link to work. So we're going to do the simplest setup, and then we're going to add one more thing. So the simplest setup, I'm going to go into design mode. I'm just going to add one button here. And this button is going to be my Link Start Stop. So I'm just going to change the name and call this Link Go. And instead of being subtype toggle, it's going to be subtype Link Start Stop. And I hit apply now. And I'm going to do one more knob just so I can get a reality check here. So I'm going to add a knob here. And this knob is going to be subtype Link Beat knob. So it's going to go with 4 beats per measure. And it's going to show where we are in the link measures. So I'm just going to apply this. Now this is a Link Beat knob. I'll make these a little bit bigger for this demo. And yeah, we'll just hide the label on the second one. And now let's see what happens when we tap Link Go. So we tap Link Go and the Link knob starts. The timer was started at 100, says the error message, but it also says that Link is not configured. So to get rid of that message, we're going to go into config and actually make sure that Ableton Link is both sending link and receiving link. So again, go into config, under connections, Ableton Link is at the bottom here. Go into show configuration, Ableton Link. We've got everything checked. And now when we start, you can see there's no error message of any type, and we know that Link is working. So that's the first thing we need to set up, Ableton Link. Now we're going to do our setup for Auto Twerk. We're going to do 2 controls. The first one is a knob, and we're just going to call this Twerk It. And we'll map this to something later to see what it does musically. Let's bring the size of this label down a bit. And I'm going to add a second control here, which is an XY pad. And this, I'll just hide the 2 axes. So I'm going to hide the label, and that hides the label on both X and Y. Last piece that we need is to get some twerk buttons on here that will enable Auto Twerk for both of these controls. So I'm going to add a button here and add a second button here. And we'll just keep them, actually I'm going to add a third button even. So one is going to be Twerk Knob, and I'll make that a multi-line label so it looks proper. The second one is going to be called Twerk X, and the third one is going to be called Twerk Y. Okay, we've got our 3 buttons set up, and now let's make these controls actually twerk, assuming Ableton Link is running. So it's pretty simple. Again, I'm still in design mode. I'm going to tap on the XY pad. I'm designing the X dimension right now, which you can see at the top, X properties. Go into relationships. At the bottom right of relationships is Auto Twerk button. Tap on that, and we're going to go to Twerk X. Apply properties, and now we're going to design the Y dimension. Now we're designing Y. Relationships, Auto Twerk button, Twerk Y. Apply. That's all good. And now I'm going to double tap on the knob. Auto Twerk button is going to be called Twerk Knob. Okay, that's the entire setup. We exited design mode. Let's see how it works with Link running. So if we move fast, we'll get fast stuff when we lift off. So first of all, twerk is off right now on the XY pad. Let's put it on the X-axis. So X keeps going, but Y does not, even fast or really slow. And let's twerk Y as well. Okay, so now it's working on both. Okay, and now if we tap the X or the Y button, we will break to a stop over 0.5 of a second. That's adjustable also in the design properties. So slowing down the X, slowing down the Y. Bring them back up, they reaccelerate and they ramp up to the speed slowly. So you get a pretty cool looking effect and sounding effect. And now we're going to do the same thing with the knob. Twerk knob, break, keep going, and also we can go really fast. There we go. Really fast. And if we tap, it stops, right? So same thing, if I'm twerking X and Y on the XY pad and I tap, it stops. This gives us a way to break it aside from breaking. Also, if Ableton Link stops, everything stops because it's tied to the Link clock. So Link starts again and everything keeps moving. All right, so that's the setup. Let's see what it sounds like in a musical context. I'm going to map my knob to a parameter in Ableton Live. I'm going to map my X and my Y to two other parameters in Ableton Live, and we'll see what kind of musical and non-musical effects we can get. All right, we're ready to get moving and showing how this works in a musical context. I've mapped these controls in Ableton Live to some parameters, and I've also relabeled the controls. So the volume control is the volume of a vocal track, which we'll hear in a second. The XY pad has a delay or controls a delay on that same vocal track, and the X-axis is the delay amount, and the Y-axis is the delay time, bigger times being longer delays. So let's hit Link and see what everything sounds like without twerk.
Technological unemployment is as vital today, is our production, is as vital refinement is living, that most concerned is of course transportation.
So that's the three parameters that we're controlling, and now we're going to try it with Auto Twerk, and then we're going to go over the last thing, which is Auto Twerk with Ableton Link Sync, which will sync us to quarter notes or eighth notes or half notes, whole notes, etc. So let's start our link, and then we're going to twerk the knobs and the knob and XY pad a bit.
Unemployment is as vital today as further refinement or production of labor-saving and comfort-giving devices. Among all the marvels of modern invention, that with which I am most concerned is, of course, air transportation. Flying is perhaps the most dramatic of scientific attainment. In a brief span of 20 years, the world has seen first materialized the Kennedy brothers at Kitty Hawk. Today, actuality. Perhaps I've touched it, but no face modern progress can cause to maintain such a brilliant measure of low-absency coupled with utility as presentation. Within itself, this industry embraces many of those scientific accomplishments which yesterday seemed fantastic impossibilities. The pilot winging his way above the earth at 200 miles an hour.
All right, so that's a little demo, and now we're going to go over the last piece, which is we're going to turn on beat sync for each of these three twerking parameters and see what that looks like. So we're going to go into all three of these params in design mode. So hit design mode, go into the XY pad. We're designing the X dimension, as you can see at the top. Go into relationships, go into Auto Twerk options, and the last parameter, which is Link Beat Quantize, is set to on. And we're going to do the same thing with the Y dimension. Change the beat sync quantize, or the Link Beat Quantize to on. Apply that. And the same thing to the knob. Turn quantize to on. And let's see how this makes a difference. And if we can visibly see, like, well, I'll be using quarter notes a lot. Depending on how fast your movement is, when you release, it will sync to whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes. That's the whole range right now.
Technological unemployment is as vital today as further refinement and production, saving and comfort living. Among the marvels of modern invention, that which I am most concerned is, of course, air transportation. Flying is the most drastic of scientific achievements. In the brief of 35 years, the world has seen an Empress dream, first materialized by the late brothers at Kawai, become an everyday possibility. Perhaps I'm prejudiced. To me it seems no other thing but modern progress in trying to maintain such a brilliant measure of romanticity coupled with utility and preservation. Within this industry embraces many of those
So that's the demo for Ableton Link Synced Auto Twerk. And that concludes the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please ask your questions on our QA forum or send us an email to support via config actions email. And thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out MIDI Designer Pro 10. And best of luck with your music making. Thank you.